Beyond China's veils of mist and valleys lies another world, one that feels untouched by the rush of time. Here, temples cling to rock walls, clouds drift through ancient forests, and the quiet air seems to carry the echo of forgotten prayers. From the scarlet curves of Langshan to the solemn peace of Mount Tai, each summit tells a story of devotion and endurance. These are not simply sites to tick off a list, but sanctuaries to experience, where landscape and spirit blend into one, and every step feels like a journey toward eternity. In the fog-wrapped highlands of Fujian, Wuyishan rises like a landscape painted by a careful hand, a place where rivers, cliffs, and philosophy flow together. This UNESCO World Heritage Site is at once a cradle of thought and a masterpiece of scenery, famed for its towering red sandstone walls, quiet valleys, and winding waterways that seem to hum with the remnants of ancient lives. The jade-green Nine Bend River coils gently around dramatic peaks and shadowed caves. Drifting along its curves on a bamboo raft feels like gliding through history itself, each turn revealing shrines tucked into rock, temple halls hidden in the cliffs, and echoes of long-ago chants. Above, the sheer walls are lined with enigmatic hanging coffins left by early peoples, their presence both eerie and deeply sacred. Yet Wuyishan is not just a legend. It is the birthplace of Neo-Confucian thought and the home of the famous Da Hong Pao tea, grown in crevices where rock, mist, and myth meet. Locals say a single cup holds the mountain spirit, its stillness its softness, its quiet strength. At first light, the peaks flush with a gentle glow, and the sound of bamboo leaves brushing the river becomes a soft hymn. Travelers pause here, not to conquer heights, but to listen, to water slowly carving stone, to the hush that lives between two breaths. Wuyashan reminds us that awakening isn't only found at the summit, but along the river that encircles it. This is a mountain that never boasts. It murmurs, endlessly, tenderly, in the voices of wind and flowing water. On the borderlands of Hunan and Henan lies Mangshan, a realm where green unfolds in endless variations. Often called the last secret forest of southern China, this mountain range is a refuge of life seemingly untouched by the modern world. A place where mist coils through dense canopies and quiet speaks louder than any noise. Mangshan shelters one of Asia's great subtropical forests, home to more than 3,000 plant species and over 500 kinds of animals. Giant ferns unfurl like pages in a prehistoric book. Orchids bloom quietly in hidden glades, and clear waterfalls tumble over moss-clad cliffs. Deep in this wilderness lives the rare Mangshan pit viper, an iridescent, emerald-green snake found nowhere else on Earth. As elusive and captivating as the mountain itself, walking here feels like stepping through a threshold into another age. The air is rich with the scent of pine, earth, and rain. Shafts of sunlight slice through the fog like strands of gold. Wooden walkways curve along ravines where rivers whisper, and the breeze carries a rhythm that feels older than human memory. No traffic, no shouting. Only the slow, steady breath of the forest. At dawn, mist rises like incense from the valleys, revealing ridge after ridge fading into the distance. Locals like to say that if you stand very still, you can hear the mountain dreaming, the world remembering its first morning. Mangshan is not a place to rush. It is a place to yield to. It invites you to slow down until your heartbeat matches the pace of rain, leaves, and flowing water. To rediscover how powerful true silence can be. In southern Anhui, Qiunshan rises quietly above the plains, modest in height, but immense in presence. Known as the Mountain of Clouds and Heaven, it is one of the 4 sacred Taoist mountains of China, where mist drifts like thought, and even the stones feel quietly awake. At just 585 meters, Qianshan proves that holiness has nothing to do with altitude and everything to do with meaning. Its slopes are wrapped in near constant fog, making the peak seem to float between earth and sky. At daybreak, red cliffs glow softly behind veils of cloud, while temple bells ring faintly through the pines. Incense smoke mingles with cool mountain air, creating a calm so deep it feels almost unreal. More than 500 rock inscriptions are scattered across its cliffs. Poems, prayers, and reflections carved by emperors, monks, and poets seeking a dialogue with the cosmos. Many characters have faded into the stone, as though the mountain has slowly absorbed each line into its own being. Along narrow stone paths, visitors stumble upon small shrines and meditation caves where Taoist sages once lived in seclusion. The quiet here is not emptiness. It hums with a subtle presence, an underlying rhythm that feels like the universe breathing. As the sun sinks, the sky burns with gold behind drifting mist, and the entire mountain seems lit from within. Qianshan does not demand worship, it invites contemplation. It is a place where heaven doesn't speak in thunder or lightning, but in small gestures. The swaying of branches, the passing of clouds, and the inner voice you finally have time to hear. Across the hills of central Henan, Laojunshan rises like a beacon wrapped in haze, a mountain of legend, philosophy, and light. Tradition says that over 2,500 years ago, Laozi, the sage of the Tao, once retreated here to live and meditate. The mountain still feels steeped in his presence, balanced, quiet, and timeless. Standing 1,400 meters high, Lao Junshan is cloaked in pine and drifting clouds that catch early sunlight like streams of silver. Temples cling to cliffs, their golden roofs glinting through blankets of fog, seemingly suspended between sky and stone. The most iconic is the Golden Pavilion atop the summit. Where a massive bronze statue of Laozi looks out over the mountains, his expression calm, gaze reaching far beyond the valleys. Pilgrims follow stone stairways that weave through forest and mist, guided by the faint scent of incense and the distant gong of temple bells. With every turn, another layer of harmony appears. Rock meeting air, sound dissolving into quiet. The climb feels less like an effort and more like slowly letting go. When sunrise spills across the peaks, the entire mountaintop melts into light. In that glow, the teachings of the Tao become tangible. Move like water, rest like stone, and exist without strain. Lao Junshen is not only an origin point for Taoist thought, it is the Tao itself, made visible in cloud, rock, and silence. In the rugged lands of Shaanxi, where cliffs loom over deep ravines and the wind never quite rests, stands one of China's most astonishing sanctuaries, the Hanging Temple of Hengshan. Perched about 50 meters above the valley floor, this 1,500-year-old monastery clings to a vertical cliff as if held up by belief itself. Here, at the base of the northern Hengshan Range, religion, engineering, and landscape merge in a single, fragile-looking miracle. Built during the Northern Wei Dynasty, Xuankong Temple is a masterwork of both devotion and design. Wooden beams are driven into the rock face, supporting halls and corridors that seem to hover in midair. Inside, statues of Confucius, Buddha, and Laozi stand together. A rare embodiment of the three teachings that once guided China's moral and spiritual life. As you climb its narrow stairways and look out from its wooden balconies, the wind whistles through the beams, carrying the far-off sound of bells and murmured prayers. Far below, the valley fades into mist. Overhead, the cliff stretches upward like a wall to the sky. At day's end, the setting sun bathes the temple in a warm glow. And for a moment, it feels as though the mountain itself has come alive to cradle the structure. The hanging temple is more than daring architecture. It is a quiet anthem to resilience, a reminder that true faith can hold against gravity, time, and the restless wind. In southern Hunan, Langshan unfurls across the land like a red tide frozen in motion. Its name, Scarlet Mountain, fits perfectly. Sweeping waves of rose-colored sandstone rise and fold across the landscape, a stone ocean stilled over millions of years. Recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site for its rare Danxia formations, Langshan stands among China's most dazzling natural wonders. Here, cliffs glow in tones of crimson, pink, and rust, their forms soft yet immense, shaped over more than 100 million years by wind and rain. Among its many marvels are the Sleeping Beauty Ridge, the Camel Peak, and the famous Tianyi Lane, a slit-like canyon barely a meter wide, yet over 100 meters high. Walking through it feels like slipping along the seam of the earth itself, sunlight falling in slender beams from far above. As the day wanes, the mountain's personality changes. The rocks catch the last light and smolder like live coals, their reflections shivering in quiet rivers below. A deep stillness settles in, broken only by the soft whistle of wind along the cliffs. A reminder that even stone has its own slow breath. Langshan is a place of beautiful contradictions, powerful yet delicate, ancient yet full of motion. It is a testament to time's patience and nature's artistry. A red symphony composed not by human hands, but by the ceaseless dance of the elements. In the mist-wrapped foothills of southwestern Hebei, Shan feels like a vision suspended somewhere between earth and heaven. This is a mountain where faith challenges gravity, where temple halls cling to sheer rock and bridges stretch into the clouds. Here, nature and architecture blend into one astonishing expression of devotion. At the core of the mountain lies Tianning Temple, founded more than 1,400 years ago during the Sui dynasty. Its main hall doesn't stand on solid ground, but on a stone bridge nearly 40 meters long, spanning a deep chasm. Supported by a lattice of wooden beams driven into the rock, the temple appears to float, a golden sanctuary hanging in the mist. From below, it looks weightless, like a prayer made visible. Climbing the roughly 300 stone steps that snake up the cliff, visitors hear faint bells drifting on the wind. The air cools, and shifting light filters through the trees as though the sky itself were breathing. When you finally step onto the bridge, the world falls away. Valleys dissolve into haze, leaving only rock, air, and a profound quiet. At sunset, the temple walls blush in soft light. Their colors reflecting subtly off the surrounding stone. Shan is far more than a feat of engineering. It is a monument to how belief can rise above physical limits, a temple built not in defiance of gravity, but in harmony with it. From temples set into cliffs to valleys where clouds pour like rivers, these 9 sacred mountains show that wonder still lives in stone and silence. Each peak carries a tale of belief, patience, and the human desire to reach beyond the ordinary world. In the end, perhaps the real ascent is not upward, but inward, toward the same stillness that moves through wind, water, and years. Somewhere between rock and sky, between fear and peace, we remember what it means simply to be alive.